Hey guys, Stealth here. Today in Wargame we have a pretty short game. It's only gonna last about 8 to 10 minutes. And CzechNorris sent in this game. He said we faced two guys with about 60% win rate and levels 27 and 2031. My teammate only has a 25% win rate and he's about a 70% win rate. So he knew that he was probably going to get outplayed. And considering that this is the map Deathrow, then you're going to be facing a lot of infantry in the town. That's at least how it normally goes down. And considering that Red 4 usually has better infantry than Blue 4, it is not a fight that you're likely to win, at least not without taking a lot of losses. Considering that the game mode is destruction, you don't want to take any of those losses. So instead, CzechNorris came up with a different tactic. He said, how about focus and go around? Then if they all send into the city is useless. Because he's exactly right. If there is a lot of force devoted to the city here, then he doesn't really have anything to worry about, so long as you take this road and just keep driving north. He says just put up a small defensive force here, maybe some defense there by Inferno, and that should be about it. So let's see how well this strategy is going to play out. What happens if you don't do what the enemy is expecting you to do? And for this push, he's going to be using quite a few fast, motorized, and of course tanks. We have the Leopard 2A1s, 1A5s, more 2A1s, a couple of Gepard A2s to deal with any helicopters that might come their way. Scout Leopard 1A1s, a couple of Helos on the left flank. Tiger 2 Recon, or Tiger Recon, Tiger HAP for the NT. Oh, I always get these two confused. I believe that the HAP is the one that deals with anti-air, and the HAD, or the Tiger HAD, is the one that deals with ground targets. He's also going to be joined by a Siphon, a Tifa E, and over on the right we have another small helicopter detachment, a couple of Anafas with reconnaissance unit, another Siphon, a couple of Tifa E's as well, and this is the small force that's going to be holding the middle. Couple of Achsarits with a bit of infantry, some Machbets in case they're dealing with with helicopters, and that should do about it. One command unit kept in the back. Of course you want to keep control of your zone, and considering that they're going to be pushing their forces along this side of the map, then this seems to be a pretty safe position for their command unit. So, we are on the move. It's going to be a bit busy on the road here. Quite a few vehicles piling up here. Of course, with Wargame's vehicle physics, they still try to blend in one line, but they really, really drive bumper to bumper here. As we push along the left side of the map. In the lead here is a Leclerc, so this is their heaviest tank. The 1A5s are mostly there for fire support. We got some 2A1s, which can take some punches. An AMX-32 there. This tank is not particularly good at firing on the move, but once it's sitting still, it can be very, very accurate. So he's basically filling up as much units with mixed amounts of armor and gunpowder. In the meanwhile, Red 4 has decided to fire an artillery barrage right on top of the town in the middle of the map. Unfortunately for them, there is no one there. There is absolutely nothing going on. In the meanwhile, we have the helicopters pushing forward, scoring their first kill against an enemy helicopter and knocking down vision on this site. But we do have some units coming in from Red 4 on their side of the map, which are about to run into Blue's convoy. Now Blue is immediately dealing with the helicopters that are swarming over the town. A couple of Gammas are going down. Let's see if they can get the Mi-8s before they touch down. Doesn't quite look like it. Red fires another artillery salvo. Unfortunately for them, there's just nothing there. The Achsarits will perfectly protect any infantry that happens to be inside the artillery barrage. So they're fine. And in the meanwhile, this panzer train just keeps going and going and going. Leclerc still in the lead, and over to the left we still have the Tiger and the Tiger Recon. A couple of kills there. It looks like the artillery has now noticed what the problem is going to be, and is instead aiming towards the road here. Unfortunately, it's too little too late, as most of the vehicles have already cleared out of this area and are continuing to steam down this road. Got a nice 140 point kill there, another 60 pointer. In the meanwhile, they're killing off anything that happens to still be on the way to the town. And he just keeps going. There is just no stopping this group here. PGZ-95 was put forward to deal with the helicopters. Not a problem. Leclerc takes it out, and in the meanwhile we still have the Tigers and the Siphon over to the left, which are dealing with anything that might be on the flank there. Heavy artillery barrage. Unfortunately, it's missed again. So Leclerc is watching all the pretty lights come by, and once they're done, just carries on without being panicked, stunned, or worried whatsoever. Keeps moving, and that's when we run into a whole lot of artillery. BM-24s, SO-105 Prest, some AA is being put forward, QW-1s. We have T-55 Igman, which is trying to stop the flood of enemy armor, but is not really being very successful at it. Because one tank against this much firepower is going to be quite the hassle. Now I'm going to switch it over to neutral viewer, and then you can see what Red 4 has devoted to this town. We have a whole lot of Specialny Jednotkis. We have OT Tab 71s with Padobranci. These guys are dealing with some Rove 890. That's about it. Lijan 90. I believe that these guys were still trying to get to the town when their transport got destroyed. And there are some vehicles here in the back, but most of them were devoted to the town and either didn't make it there because they got taken up by the armor, or they did make it there and they're now fighting off against some, well, pretty insignificant infantry over a pretty insignificant position, at least at the moment. In the meanwhile, Czech just carries on with his killing spree. Leclerc has taken some damage. They're now slugging it out with the Igman, which immediately takes a few hits and gets its firing computer reset, and there we go, target is down. Now, this is what happens if you don't do what your enemy expects you to do. You could call this the armored version of the Helo Rush, but I don't really think that that's accurate. A mobile force like this, same as a Helo Rush, is something that, if it works, is just perfectly viable. And yeah, it's not fun to be on the receiving end of it, but it just works, and it just works really, really well. Now, in the meanwhile, he's spreading out his tanks. We got the Leclerc still pushing forward. We got the Scout 1A1 moving forward to provide optics for the Leclerc. AMX-32, the 2A1s, and more Scout Leopards have taken over the FOB. And the question is, where is their command? It's possibly somewhere inside here, because we still have some infantry defending this town. And anything that gets spawned in at this stage is just going to get killed off very, very quickly. A couple of Zanshis here. The Leopard 1A5s are getting a bit worried about that, so they're backing off, while the Zanshis are still taking a very, very significant barrage of fire. Another Gamma takes off. Unfortunately, doesn't really get the chance to get any damage in. The missile just harmlessly flies off to the town. And in the meanwhile, we had some engagement going on the right flank, but nothing too severe. The thing is that they have one Fuchs over here, and that's about it. So if anything was to come in from the right, that would be their one last warning sign before the Red forces might come into this zone. For now though, Red 4 has something entirely different on their minds, as all of these tanks are going to be very, very difficult to try and get killed off. There goes the infantry. Now, we have Inferno coming in from the right flank with his Tsifa-Es, his Siphon, and the Anafas with reconnaissance infantry. And considering that they came over from the left and these guys came over from the right, the command infantry must be about here. This is the one area that they haven't scouted out yet. CzechNorris keeps putting forward his Leopard 1A5s and the 1A1 to deal with enemy units that might be spawned in or that might be hiding out in the tree line here. And in the meanwhile we have the Muglans, which are being deployed here, looking for the command infantry. And if a vehicle would come in that for some reason the tanks wouldn't take out, of course these guys have the Spike MR, which can very quickly dispatch with any unit that might be coming into the road here. Now, what do you do when you're Red 4? At this point, I'd say pretty much nothing. The battle is done. There is just not that much that you can do once the enemy is already here. And if you have devoted a lot of infantry forces to this position, then you're just screwed. There's no way to come back from this. Because even if you do drive the infantry back, they will never have the range to deal with all of this armor. So you're just screwed. If the enemy decides to go for an armored push, and you don't have it locked down in time, you don't see it coming in time, and if you just deployed all of your points to Bravo. And that's the trick, that's the difficult part about this map. If you deploy a lot of your forces to this side, then you don't have the forces to counter on an enemy push along this road. If you don't put a lot of infantry into this town, then the enemy might come right through Bravo with their own infantry, ignore the road altogether, and you're going to find yourself defending a position along this axis, for example, or these buildings. So it is not an easy map to play. It is not an easy answer here. Siphon flies right over the Legions, not the best position to take, and unfortunately gets shot down there. We still have to find one last command vehicle. We know that it's not in any of the zones. Could be anywhere in these mountains, but it is fortunately not that far away. It's trying to come in from the right flank. It's the BJ-212. It is decently mobile, but it's about to run into the Fuchs there. A couple of infantry units. The survivors from the town are still trying to make their way forward, but they are not going to get very far. They are about to run into the command infantry, a couple of Jaegers, so they will definitely run over those. But of course blue is very, very comfortable at this reinforcement position, so they can bring in any forces that they like. And as we speed it up, the BJ-212 is about to get detected, and there we go. I think he's surrendered. So, CzechNorris, 2,057 points gained, 270 points lost. A couple of tanks, I believe. What did he lose? Yeah, one Leopard and the Tiger Hab. That's it. His Leclerc, in the meanwhile, went on an absolute killing spree. A couple of tanks here. The AA took quite a good beating. We have the artillery going down. Who else got an impressive kill list? No one really, because most of the fire was spread out between all of these different units. So that is how you can very, very quickly go through or beside Deathrow, just pass the entire town over and still come out on top there. Now let me know what you think of this gameplay. Do you think it's cheesy? Do you think it's warranted? Do you think it's brilliant because it just worked so damn well? Or is it something that you think is breaking a game like this? Let me know in the comments, because I'm looking forward to what you think about this game. And with that, it's the end of this very short Wargame replay. CzechNorris, thank you for sending it in. I really enjoyed watching that. And in case you're watching this and you think, oh, that's an interesting tactic, try it. Let me know how it works, because it might not always work every time. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon for more videos.